everybody. I'm Bridget Marrara and I'm an analytics consultant at InterWorks. Today, I'm going to show you how to create dynamic field swapping and sorting in Tableau, specifically using parameters and calculated fields. So let's dive in. So we have this visualization here called top manufacturers. And as you can see, there's a couple different fields that we created or that we are showcasing using some dual axis charts. So we have profit ratio, revenue versus profit orders, and average processing time. So I know that there's a lot to be seen here, but our current filter, if we go ahead and just edit it here, we can see is only showing the top 15 manufacturers by profit ratio. So since there are other fields in the view that are super important as well, we want to allow the user to toggle between the field that is calculating the top end filter, in this case, which field the top 15 is showing by, if that makes sense. So let's dive right in and see how we can create it using parameters and calculated fields. So I've already created the parameter, so I'm just going to right click and edit it just so you can see what I've done. But yeah, I named it top end field parameter. And in this case, I used a string. This is really just to better show, as an example, you could definitely have the values be numeric as well. As long as they're displayed as text, that should also work just fine. So in this case, like I said, we did string and then we just did a list. And here I just typed out the values that I wanted the user to be able to choose from. Now, note that these don't have to be the exact field names. You actually want these to be shown however you want the user to see them, because they'll be using this parameter to toggle between the fields. So just make sure that however you want the user to see them, they're shown like that. So then you just want to save that and say, okay. So then the next step is creating a calculated field. Again, I already have it created, so I'm just going to right click and edit it here. It is called top end filter field filter calc. Bit of a mouthful. So here we can see that there's a case statement. You can also use if, but we've seen that case statements are usually faster than if statements. So feel free if you want to use if, you definitely can, but I do think case is faster. So let's see here. So basically this calculated field takes the parameter value and converts it into a field that's already in our data. And so basically this is just saying when the profit ratio is selected on the parameter, then we want the profit ratio field to be what is inputted in this. And so this just converts it from something that the user can toggle between to something that Tableau can understand as a field that you can sort on and filter on. And so you can also see that there are some aggregations here. So if we take this off, we're going to get a nasty error that basically just says that you can't mix aggregated and not aggregated fields. And so you definitely want to make sure that they are there. So I'm just going to add that back in. And so you can see that the aggregation also matches what's in the view in the columns row, just because that helps us to make sure that all the data is the right thing. So for example, it wouldn't make sense to have the sum of order ID because you'd get this really long, ugly number. But rather, when we're just talking about the number of orders, we just wanted to count the order ID with the distinct ones. And so, yeah, just keep that in mind. If you're getting some errors, you might just have to work through that to make sure that the aggregation is correct. So once you aren't seeing any errors, you can go ahead and press OK. And then now we can change the filter and the sorting. So the first thing we're going to do is just right click that filter and say edit filter. And then we want to go to top again. So right here, we can see the top 15 by profit ratio. But instead of this field profit ratio, we're going to select the new calculation that we just made, which again, I called top end field filter calc. Ooh. And then the custom aggregation in that is fine. So we are going to go ahead and hit OK. And initially, we're not going to see anything change because in the top here, I actually have my parameter selected as profit ratio, which of course is what it was before. So let's go ahead and press profit and see what happens. All right, so we see that it is now showing us different manufacturers by profit. And this blue bar right here is profit, but it is not sorting in a way that is really user-friendly. So let's do revenue and see if that changes anything. As we can see, this gray bar is the revenue, but again, it's not ascending or descending, so it's kind of confusing what it's actually showing. But good news is our first step of the filter worked, and now we are seeing the top manufacturers by the field that the parameter is selected. So let's go ahead and add that sort in by right-clicking the manufacturer field and press sort. So instead of sorting by the data source order, we're going to go ahead and just click the drop down and choose field instead. So then the field name instead of category, just because it's choosing the first one here, we're going to choose the top N field filter calc once again. So once you select that, we can see that our view is going to change. And right now it is showing revenue. And so it's descending by revenue or ascending by revenue, but we actually want it to be descending just because the user will look at it and immediately know the top manufacturer by revenue, which is definitely great in this case. Aggregation custom is fine again. So we can go ahead and click off this. So we know that it works for revenue. So let's go ahead and go to orders and make sure that it's working for that as well. So now we should see the top 15 orders or manufacturers by number of orders. If I clicked it. And then it should also be sorted ascending or descending. Oh my goodness. Descending by number of orders. So yep, there we go. We can see that that worked just fine. And then we can click on processing time and see the same thing as well. And so, yep, and that's awesome to see. So we're going to just throw it back on profit. And again, that is beautifully sorted, and that is what we like to see. So another thing that I did, which is definitely a more common trick, is have the top in be something that is changeable. So we're going to go ahead and just quickly run through how to do that as well. So you just want to make another parameter called top in, and it will let me open it. There we go. Okay, so this top in parameter, you just want it to be a range. So the data type should be float, but the range can be really anything. I put 1 to 20 because I didn't think seeing more than 20 in one view made sense for this particular sample data. Feel free to put whatever range that you think makes sense for your data. But this just allows the user to input anything in that range. So once you created the parameter, you actually don't need a calculated field for this tip, but you can go ahead and just go to top and change this number to the parameter. So we called it top in. So Tableau already has this function built in, which is why you don't need a calculated field. So you want to go ahead and just press OK. And we can see it jump down to 10 instead of 15. So let's say we want to double it, see 20 instead. Then we can insert that into the top in parameter and see 20. So as you can see, this is a really interactive way to see different sorting and different fields by the top in, which is really cool whenever you have a visualization that has lots of fields and lots of data in it. So this just gives some customization to the user, which is always great. All right, well, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.